All right, there we go. Finally, I got on here. All right, Truck Series finale starts at 10 o'clock East Coast time. That has been a little bit of the conversation. Whole question is up. Who do you think takes it tonight? Corey Heim, Josephus, Grant Enfinger, Ben Rhodes. No love for Ben Rhodes right here. Former champion, 2021, I want to say. Enfinger, also a former champion, at 20%. Josephus, 53%. And Corey Heim at 31% as it stands right now. So let's jump into the chat and see what you guys want to talk about. Let's see. B going with Hosevar, and she spelled it out for you just in case you didn't know how to spell the proper version of Josephus. Let's see. He's definitely got a mean right hook, says Timber Race. Corey Heim. Shah's going with Corey Heim. Shah, I agree. Corey Heim got the poll too, by the way, I want to say. I agree with you. Heim takes the championship tonight, says in between the lanes. So that's 2 votes for Corey Heim right there. EB, who do you think will win? LOL, says Shah. BB, will Marco Andretti win the race, says OJ and Toothpaste. He also says, damn, 10 p.m. Eastern time, truck race will be on. That's so ridiculous. Race will end at 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I agree with you. And the question is not, and I did type this out, the question is not, will Marco Andretti win? The question is by how many laps will Marco Andretti win the race? The championship will be decided by who finishes in second place, obviously. Let's see here. In between the lanes, saying, what's up? In between the lanes, I agree, not a fan of starting at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Since B had to get up at 4 a.m. Doing adult stuff. Look at you being an adult. Proud of you. But yeah, I get that. So yeah, it's gonna be kind of hard. Shah saying, I'm glad I'm a Westerner, semi early-ish on the West Coast, of course. 5 o'clock. So you guys are just 10. Oh, what is it? 10, 9, 8, 7 o'clock. So 7 o'clock. You guys are just getting settled in. Let's see. Blunderberger, not much. Friday night truck race, of course, says in between the lanes. This start is not good for the truck race. Coors Light started a little early, says Delmar Kaufman. So there you go. Smokey and the Bandit getting respected there. Let's see. Corey Heim uses Safe Light Auto Glass on his Toyota vehicles. That's for sure. That is for sure. They stuck with Toyota. They didn't go over there to KBM, Kyle Busch Motorsports. Of course, this will be the last race for KBM. Also, the last race for GMS. Can Grant Enfinger take them out in a blaze of glory for GMS? Can somebody over there at KBM step up and send them out on a high note? We don't know. That'll be another story to sort of keep track of. Shaw says he started at qualifying. Probably be asleep for the finish. LOL. I will be one eye in it, says Shaw. Like Dislike says, what are you consuming? And he is getting the cold frosties from the Rocky Mountains or somewhere else. Cody Ledger, at least there's not an F1 race, which starts at 1 a.m. Eastern time. So F1 races, because they race in different countries, obviously. They're always a crapshoot. They're usually pretty early in the morning for us. So I actually kind of like that. But every once in a while, you'll get one that starts at like 1 or 2 a.m. For sure. I'll have a shot for you, says I like Dislike. And an occasional screwdriver, says Shaw. So there you go. Works out for us in California, says one wise guy. Yeah, you got the nice 7 p.m. start time in California, which when I was on the West Coast, 7 p.m. I was like, man, I'm super tired at 7 p.m. But I also was waking up at like 5 in the morning too, so or probably earlier than that. I can't remember. 8 p.m. start time for me, Mountain Time, says Shah. Howdy from the Great White North. What's up, Robin Marks? And what is up, Canada? Hey, what's up, BB? How's your Friday going? The Steves today are acting like hypocrites. Yeah, I'm gonna get my thoughts together for the state of the NASCAR union thing. It was disingenuous at best. I have a lot to say about it, and we get to talk about electric vehicles. So always a bonus when I get to read the comments about not only the electric vehicles, but the playoffs being a good thing. So, which some people do like the playoffs, but like usually it's close to like 60% don't like the playoffs. So it still skews toward people that don't like it. Howdy from the Great White North, says Robin Marks. Rayford, North Carolina is in the house. What's up, Delmar? What is up, Rayford? Late night coffee for tonight, says Ben Kluber. So yeah, the coffee will be flowing for a lot of people on the East Coast. Did you watch NASCAR press conferences like this? Like, I didn't watch it, but I've read enough excerpts from it. I've read the highlights. I'm not going to watch those things are boring. It's much easier just to read the highlights of it. BB, have you ever had unstuffed Oreos? Says OJ and toothpaste. Not necessarily unstuffed, but I've twisted them apart and had them separate. Used to do that all the time as a kid. The double stuffed is the way to go in that situation. Not NASCAR related. The NBA in-season tournament is on tonight as well. Says in between the lanes. So there you go. Little NBA action going on. NASCAR pretty much proved today that they don't care about us. It's all about what they want. Yeah, I mean, this is probably the first time they've just come right out and said bald face lies to everybody's face. So, but in the past they've at least tried to thinly veil it. This time they're just like, yeah, we've heard your feedback and F you. We're gonna do what we want. So that's pretty much what tomorrow's video or whatever time it gets released tonight or tomorrow. That's pretty much going to be the tone of the video. So it's going to be interesting. The other part of it that's not really getting as much press because he said something about the playoffs, which I think was probably intentional, is that they are looking at hydrogen and other various. They're going to the Japanese mobility show or something. They're doing research in Japan. But they're looking at hydrogen as well as electric and all kinds of other stuff as the future of how NASCAR is going to go. So all kinds of super positive news to talk about. But you know what? We got a Truck Series race to figure out, and I'm just wondering, are we going to get any good stories from the Truck Series race? There's so many good storylines, like KBM, GMS. They could pull off the win, and then somebody else could win the title. That could just add a layer to the Truck Series. So just all kinds of stuff. Okay, Chad, now just finished baked Iowa chops, spuds, and corn. Iowa chop, think 16-ounce ribeye, but pork, says Mark Bonham. So, yeah, I've never actually had that. I've had spuds, not spuds and corn, though. So that's interesting. The spuds I've had is two potatoes cut, and then you make it look like one big potato, and then you sort of fill it up with whatever. I can't believe I'm looking into something other than NASCAR because they keep doubling down on the gimmick. Says Chrome Diesel. Yeah, it's very disappointing. It's very disappointing. So it's just like they're just determined to run it into the ground because they are so much smarter than everybody else. They just I don't know. It flies in the face of everything else, but it's just kind of the era we're in. It's like the customer doesn't matter. We're going to do what we want, and you'll just keep watching because we're smarter than you. That's sort of how it feels like. They're banking on a customer base to come that still is just not coming. So it's just super interesting how they're proceeding about it. I don't want to give too much away about what I'm going to say tomorrow, so I'm trying to pick my words carefully here. For the butcher, a Fiat Fun. I appreciate you there, Sonny V with the super chat. I appreciate you, my friend. There is the fist bump. Hit the like button on that thing there. Let's see. Would you ever go to the SEMA show? I would love to go to the SEMA show. Just didn't work out so much this year, but it will be something that is on the radar, hopefully in the future. I don't understand NASCAR not putting more horsepower for next year. Like they're going to do aero changes and all, but the big changes will be made when they do higher horsepower. Yeah, once again, it's just one of those. It's one of those things. They just keep digging themselves a bigger hole with the fan base side, doing what they want to do instead of what needs to be done in the fan base's opinion. 1983 Daytona 500. Richard Petty used Unical motor oil and blew the motor. Should have put the sponsor's motor oil in the car, says Delmar Kaufman. What about a water-based engine in the future, BB, that runs on cold water for the next gen car? I don't know. Maybe on Earth too. Like that would be there. I mean, there is technically a water-based engine. It's called a steam engine. So the NASCAR steam engine series. The other thing is they said that they've got an electric car and they've tested it, but they have no immediate plans for an electric car. That flies in the face of something they said as early as last year when they said we're going to have an electric car series that complements the Cup series. So that's interesting. So obviously from that information, they tested the electric car and they didn't like what they saw. That's what you can take away from that. BB, will you make your Fiat electric? Says OJ and toothpaste. Unlikely. I'm never say never, but it's gonna be very unlikely. They have an electric version of it already out. It's called NASCAR Chasing Away Motorsports Fanatics, says Chrome Diesel. I mean, they have they've angered a good section of the fan base. We'll put it that way. Did NASCAR once serve as a testing ground for innovations on streetcar tech? I mean, at one point, yes. And now that point was a long time ago, but as early as recently as the 80s, the cars did at least share a lot of similarities. The bodies at least shared a lot of similarities with the car that is on the road. So ever since the 80s, they've strayed further and further away from anything that resembles a stock car. For Fat Fingered, it says Sunny V. It's all good, my friend. It's all good. CNBC has a story about EV sales slowing big time. They're hitting a peak for the moment. I hope sales slump more. Hybrids are better. People still like gas. I just want the engines more efficient, says Robin Marks. Yeah, I've always said that the hybrid thing will probably take off long before the EV thing takes off. Brock Purdy works on a farm during his bye week. I learned this from the Pat McAfee show, primarily harvesting corn, says In Between the Lanes. So there you go. Brock Purdy, a man of the people, the last pick in the draft, and ended up being a pretty decent quarterback so far, except for the last couple games. Not necessarily his finest hour. It's Heim time, says Charlotte Anders. So there's another vote for Corey Heim. But the poll is up, by the way. Who do you think will win the Truck Series Championship tonight? I'm wondering if it will stop. I'm wondering if I will stop watching next year. I'm not getting streaming for a few races, and I guess next year will be my decision point. I will stop watching. I've done it before, says Shaw. So there you go. That's the exact opposite of what NASCAR should be encouraging people, making people feel like they want to do. AJ being the AJ behind the wall, smoking in practice, says Mark Barnum. That's not good. My worry is if I stop NASCAR, then I will probably stop on BB2, says Shaw. It is what it is, my friend. Don't let me affect you if it really bothers you that much. But I do appreciate your support as always, my friend. 2JZ swap the E-Fiat, says Charlotte Ander. I would love a 2JZ swap. Steampunk power. Steam is great, but it blows up big time for sure. That's they're epic failures when they go wrong. There's no doubt about that. Speaking of the electric car NASCAR, how about adding electricity to Talladega? Yeah, a night race at Talladega would be nice. Chip just needs to sell and go away. He hasn't done anything for the sport for years, says Thomas Haywood. So that's interesting. They've won a bunch of races. They just haven't won a title. Let's see. Jamie Schweitzer. Hey, BB. What's up, Jamie Schweitzer? At this point, I'm looking more toward IndyCar than NASCAR. David Land, hook me up, says Chrome Diesel. I read a study that if you factor in the superchargers and all that, it ends up being like $17.46 a gallon for gas for an electric vehicle, says one wise guy. So there you go. It is I guess cheaper from that respect. Would a 289 cubic inch engine fit in the Fiat? Well, it's got a 4-cylinder in there, so it wouldn't really necessarily take up any more space lengthwise. But I don't know. You could always put it in the back, I reckon. Do the old Lancia build, put it in the back. I rewatched the beginning of the previous live stream, and I didn't know you were not a fan of candy corn. I'm not a fan of candy corn. It is not my favorite. My boss had a hybrid Tahoe, and it blew up at 50,000 miles. Yeah, not all hybrids are built the same. So stick with the ones that are built well. Stock cars became non-stock cars when four-door cars and front-wheel drive cars came along, says Delmar Kaufman. Go Hawks, says one wise guy. Brock will be okay if they stick with him, says Nathan. I think so, too. Panthers, 2 straight wins this week, says Delmar. So there you go. Carolina Panthers getting it done. SRX series is better overall racing than NASCAR. So that's another thing NASCAR probably at some point should start worrying about if they keep fiddling around and doing what they're doing. You not necessarily the SRX, but you would give all these other series a chance to just take over because they are at least listening to their fans in some capacity as opposed to shoving things down their fans' throats. Harvesting corn is not what it once was. The combine and the tractors have auto steer. Sit back, have a snack, and read a book. Says Mark Barnum. Yep. And then the really insane stuff is like John Deere saying that they still own the equipment because you're just leasing the technology from them when you buy John Deere. Like the farming stuff has gotten crazy if you really look into it. After this weekend, BB, I might need a crying towel from Jimmy Spencer since the NASCAR season is over. Sunday says in between the lanes. Yeah, it's going to be a bummer, but we'll keep it going. We'll keep it going all year on the channel. Coming from town this morning, seen a tuned diesel Silverado cut off and messing with a Mach-E Mustang. That little girl smoked that Chevy, says Aaron Flynn. Do you think NASCAR should go back to the full practice like they did today? I think it would help. I think it would certainly help. EV would kill NASCAR, but NASCAR knows how to lose their fans, says Joseph Wooten. I'm not saying they won't at some point go to an EV, but it's really just going to depend on what the market does. And they in as much said that. So by the time NASCAR switches over to anything, it'll already be there in the market. So as much as it sounds annoying now, by the time that it actually ever happened, it would already be the most popular thing out there. Who had the better season? Who has the better season next year? The 2, the 48, the 21, or the 7? I'm going to go with the 48 there because Alex Bowman, of those guys, Alex Bowman thus far is more accomplished. Austin Cindric, a lot of potential, but he's had one good year, and he's had this year that has just been atrocious. So I don't know what Spire is going to do. So I don't know if the 7 is going to have the equipment, and the 21, I just haven't seen anything from them equipment or drive-wise that would indicate that anything amazing is going to happen. So I'll have to go with the 48 there. Most farmers lease their equipment, then buy it used from John Deere, says Mark Barnum. I'll probably be rewatching some of the races in the off season to get ready for next season. So yeah, one of my favorite things to do is just like watch every single Daytona 500 up until the next Daytona 500 starts. Like Smith TV and some other ones that have some of those old Daytona 500s on them. Sprints and late model dirt cars are at Charlotte, the dirt track. Do you ever cover or follow? I haven't been to the dirt track yet. Not while I've been to it, but not while anything's running on it. I've been to the drag strip right there, the Z-Max drag strip too, but never when anything's running on it. But it might be something that I'll try to check out and do like sort of one of those like little interest videos that we do on the channel I do on the channel from time to time. Me and all the people living in my head. Let's see. Don't worry if you run out of power in your EV. Fossil fuel powered generator will come rescue you. I'm rooting for the 7. I mean, some of the newer EVs are actually, they've got a built-in generator for them. So you put a little bit of gas in them, and then they just recharge themselves, and you still got juice. You just go to the gas station and fill up the generator when the generator runs out. So it's already reached that level anyway. So it's just interesting how things go. I like Jack Wood's scheme tonight with Barstool Sports. Wish Kyle Busch was running that scheme. Says in between the lanes. Barstool usually does a pretty good job with their paint schemes. Once drivers start wearing eyeglasses, they seem to go downhill. Stick to contact lenses. Says Shop. I don't know. Kevin Harvick's won a bunch of races with glasses on, so I don't know. I'm currently finished watching the 94 season. Earnhardt locked his 7th title at Rockingham. At the same time winning the race. Terry won Phoenix and Mark Martin won Atlanta. Example, Cindric says the Wood brothers are the most loyal run team in NASCAR history. Ford or shut the team down, says Delmar Kaufman. We have all been together a lot this week. Your channel and this chat is awesome. Says like this, I appreciate it, man. So we might bake in some more of this type of stuff in the future. We'll just have to see. I'm trying to lay out also in the off season how I'm going to sort of attack the format or whatever. I don't know. If I figure out a better schedule for next season to I don't know, just make it better for everybody all the way around. Check out NASCAR Classics on YouTube. So yeah, NASCAR Classics, they've got a bunch of them that are remastered and a little bit better resolution and quality. Extreme Outlaw race on NBC tomorrow afternoon, says Mark Barnum. So there you go. You can check that one out. The refurbishment of Rockingham is about to take place, according to the local TV news in Charlotte. So Jamie Schweitzer, yeah, there's always a lot of activity around Rockingham, so we'll have to see See how that plays out. I feel like they're at least going to get a truck or an Xfinity race, but we'll have to see how it goes in the future for them. Logano, Harvick, Cindric, all eyeglasses, all rather bad seasons, says Shaw. But to be fair, Joey Logano was wearing eyeglasses last season and he won the title. Let's see who's fighting in the Cars Tour this weekend. I don't know who's fighting, but it's going to be Butterbean and Voppel for the championship. Looks like Landon Huffman is on the outside pole, but he ran nearly an identical lap to Butterbean, so it's pretty cool. Superstition, LOL, says Shaw. Vehicle with a fuel-powered generator to make electricity for the motor, a locomotive, right? Says Sonny V. In some type of format for sure. It's not necessarily far from it. A little bit different, but I guess a diesel train would be pretty close. So if somebody did a diesel electric car. But I think the push, like there seem to be two schools of thoughts on it. One's going to be like a hydrogen generator that powers it electrically. So that's what they're talking about. They're looking over there at the Japanese mobility show. I don't know. Like it's been a long time since I really looked into it, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're sort of leaning toward. Logano is even years. So Logano is the San Francisco Giants of the NASCAR world. San Francisco Giants, they won like all their titles in even years when they were on that run. Any Pearly last place prediction for Sunday's Cup race? Says Jamie Schweitzer. Well, I am going to get to that Sunday, but let me see. I don't even know if I have it pulled up. Let me have a look here. I'm still on Martinsville, but I'm pretty sure it'll click over and change real quick if I hit that. So there you go. Let's go to Last Car with Brock Beard. Since 2020, Anthony Alfredo has a 35.5. I don't think he's in it, but BJ McLeod is 31.4. Michael McDowell of a Corey LaJoie of your sort of regular drivers are at 29.9 and 30.9 for Corey LaJoie, respectively. So of those three, take your pick. I'll let you guys pick who you want to pick there. But though they have the worst average finish, so somebody might have to upset them to get that last place. As I'm on to the 95 season, the Clash was interesting. 20 lap, 2 segments, inverting the field, halfway point. Earnhardt ends up winning his 6th or 7th Clash. Yeah, he owned Daytona except for the 500. Hydrogen-powered vehicles, all I can think is H-bombs, says Shaw. Yeah, I mean, they keep swearing up and down that they're safe, but we don't see too many of them on the road other than the Toyota Mirai. Logano is even years. Let's see here. I was at the last truck race at Rockingham. Seemed to be a decent crowd. Not sold out, but a good crowd, says Delmar Kaufman. And yeah, that's for a truck race. That's really all you can hope for. I can't remember the last truck race that really sold out other than maybe a dirt race at Eldora or somewhere. So Logano should wear contacts in odd years, says Shaw. Any early, says Jimmy Schweitzer. Do you know the qualifying order for the truck race? I don't know if I had that pulled up. Nope, that is the nope, I don't have it pulled up, but let me see. Let me go over here and see if it'll pull up over here. It's not showing it because right now where I normally look at it, they're doing the Cup practice, which Kyle Busch is leading practice right now, FYI. So yeah, that's all they're showing right now from where I normally look at it. So I don't have. I know Corey Heim got the pole though, so I can at least get you that far on it. And what did I do with the live stream? There it is. All right, so let's see here. Maybe a truck race for Rockingham. My nephew is a railroad conductor and sends me cool pictures of mechanical issues on the railroad. 95 was the first season with Monte Carlo bodies, says Chrome Diesel. And yeah, that was actually a good looking body that they had on those. They at least somewhat resembled the road car. But that was about the last year, because then they started putting all kinds of skew and they got into the Twisted Sister stuff. And it was just, it was an adventure after that. They look more like the Monte Carlo than the Lumina look like the Lumina, I guess I should say. Joey Logano uses Pennzoil motor oil in his Ford vehicles and uses Shell gasoline, says in between the lanes. So does Ryan Blaney and Austin Cindric. Monte Carlos were sweet. Says Shy, $40 million for a charter. Where do you think they will top out at? It's hard to say. It's got to be close because we're in sort of an inflated era monetarily. So you got to imagine that this has got to be close to the top. Because at some point the bubble has got to burst. In my opinion, I'm not a financial advisor, so do your due diligence on your own there. I haven't heard of any Harvick tribute for Sunday. Did you hear anything about what the track or NASCAR might do? Not off the top of my head, other than the Harvick car that they're going to run. The car says Harvick on it, and Piper and his son Keelan have autographed the car with special notes. I did see that today, so that was really cool. And there you go. Mark Barnum has dropped it right there. So there's the starting lineup for the Truck Series race. 92 degrees and sunny, says Dustin Walker. Forecasted for Sunday in Phoenix. Do you think there will be lots of cautions or long green flag runs? Typically, it's a long green flag run at Phoenix, so I would look for that. Unless, I mean, it's going to be, if it's a chaos race, it's going to be out of the norm for Phoenix. Typically, Phoenix, everybody sort of minds their P's and Q's because they don't want to be in the conversation of, oh, we took out a playoff driver. But this year has been an outlier. So, plus it's the end of the year. Everybody's nerves are frayed, so you never know. Pretty sure Monte Carlos were run in the 70s, says Delmar Kaufman. He was talking about when they brought him back. Actually brought him back. Like there was a gap, and then they brought the Monte Carlo back from the Lumina. So, but yeah, you're right. They ran them 80s and 70s. Put Kyle Busch in the 48s. I'd like to see him in the same equipment. I know at least as early as 72 because the Coca-Cola Cale Yarborough car or whatever, or Bobby Allison, the red and gold, that really famous scheme that everybody runs, that was a Monte Carlo at one point. Put Kyle Busch in the 48, and I'd like to see him in the same equipment as the 5 and the 24. Childress can go to the rocking chair, says Thomas Haywood. Well, they had the opportunity. They didn't jump on it. While I was in he's been in the 5 too. So technically he has been in Hendrick equipment, even though it was like basically his rookie early years. While I was in town today, there was a bus abandoned in the parking lot because they left the fitting at home to be able to fill their propane tank, says Aaron Flynn. That stinks. Thanks, Mark, says like Brad Keselowski and Christopher Buescher use Castrol Edge. $40 million is the low end. Imagine what Gibbs or HMS would go for. But you're just getting a charter, so I don't know. Like maybe if you're buying a piece of the company of Gibbs and all them, but if you're just buying the charter, I might still be the same. The first time Kyle Larson won the Knoxville Nationals, he also won the NASCAR Championship this year. He again won the Knoxville Nationals, which might be an omen for Sunday, says Rich Smith. We'll take whatever omens we can get. That is certainly a fact. They lap 4, they should do something like a silent lap, or just, lap 3 you hold up 3 fingers. Lap 4 you just hold up 4 fingers, and it just coincides because he was the man when everybody was holding driving the 29 when everybody was holding up 3 fingers. Charter prices make no sense to me, says Charlotte. Let's go, Grant. Says like dislikes. They're pulling for Grant Enfinger there. 76 Monte Carlo made a great dirt car, says Perry Earl. All those older Monte Carlos are pretty stout. Charter prices are a bubble. They will eventually burst. I think so too, Sha. That's just where I stand on it. Buddy and I road tripped to Vegas in a 70 Monte Carlo, says Mark Barnum. My dad had a 70 or 71 or 72, one of those. One of the ones with the 4-foot hood. So definitely a really cool car. I had a good ride to it. One of my favorites of all time as far as the Chevrolet stuff goes. I hope Tony Stewart either drives the pace car before the Phoenix race or waves the green flag in Phoenix. That would be pretty cool. That would certainly be pretty cool. Let me get this here. Skip ahead. Let's see. No longer the longer the streak goes with Final Four driver with win in Phoenix, the more fishy it gets. Looks neither Final Four cars cheated up or NASCAR told non-playoff drivers to lay down. They definitely tell the non-playoff drivers to lay down. That's a fact. And I also think the cars are probably, if they're not cheated up, they're as close to the line as you can get them. Harvick tribute will be NASCAR having infinite overtimes, making the race forever. Well, until Sunday Night Football anyways, says Cody. Blaney, third place in practice, fastest of the Final Four drivers. No shock there. Right? We know Penske's really good here. In my opinion, there should be 3 races between the Final Four, says Shaw. At least. Hiya, fellas and ladies, says Roofer. I bet Junebug wishes he would have got in the Cup Series a few years back. Yeah. I don't know why he's still sitting on the fence about it, unless he's just waiting to see if they do away with charters, because I know that's part of the negotiation that's being a hang-up between the owners, of course, and NASCAR. Maybe if Larson is leading at the end of the race and Hamlin wrecks him, we can get rid of this god-awful format, says Bo Darville. Maybe. How much longer till you think they start messing with the Xfinity car series? Says I like this. I don't know, because they really, to be honest with you, they really seem to have very little interest in anything other than the Cup Series. Everything else has pretty much stayed the same, including ARCA. So I don't know. I couldn't really tell you. 70-72 is my favorite Monte Carlo, says Duke Chronic. Me too. I think to me that's my favorite body style, and it's 100% because my dad had one and I looked at it every day. But definitely really cool car. The 4-foot hood, man, that's back when they made cars, in my opinion. That's when I think of a really cool car, that's sort of the late 60s, early 70s. That's sort of the era I think about before the oil crisis of 73 or 72 or whenever it happened. Each race knocks one out till 2 are left, says Shaw. I mean, that's another way they could. BB, you brush your teeth and wash it out with Donald Duck orange juice. Well, you got to drink the orange juice first. But yes, Donald Duck orange juice is the best orange juice for sure. And then you brush your teeth so you can get that nice aluminum taste, as you already know from the title of your name. Sonny V saying what's up to Roofer, and Mark Barnum saying what's up to Roofer. They tell non-Final Four that this race is not about them, says Duke Chronic, for sure. And one wise guy also saying what's up to Roofer. Not an Earnhardt fan, but still have the flag Rockingham gave out after the accident at Daytona, says Delmar. Yep, that was definitely a super emotional race, and it's cool that DEI was able to pull it off there with a little assistance, in a lot of people's opinion, from Bobby Labonte. A lot of people think Bobby Labonte let Steve Park go there. Shaw says, or didn't race him as hard as he could have, or they could have 4 races for the Final Four, and it comes down to points. Wins still score high. Yeah, there's you can keep the playoffs, and there's an infinitely better way you can do it. There's all kinds of better ways to do it than what they've got right now. Man, I'll be so happy if Blaney wins. Always pulled for his dad, says Charlotte. I think a lot of people were Dave Blaney fans, and they're going to be super excited if Ryan can pull it off here. Junebug is tight, but that is why he is holding out, says Mark. I don't know if he's tight, but I know his sister is super into business, and she's going to make sure it makes business sense before she jumps on something like that. So I think that's the business mind, in my opinion, behind the whole operation. Chrome Diesel Cup practice had been concluded for the final time of the season. Says the final practice is done. You got qualifying tomorrow, and then we'll get to it on Sunday. Have you started messing with the Fiat? Just getting the paperwork done. I'm not going to touch it until all the paperwork is signed, dotted, T's crossed, and all that good stuff. So right now, just looking at it. But I do want to jump in on it. I kind of want to get the Nissan finished first, just so I don't want to be that dude that has 12 projects going on. Although the Fiat project is not going to be as intensive as the other project I'm working on, but you know what I mean? You're of the age. You know what I'm talking about. You don't want to be the dude that's got 12 cars strode out over everywhere, and none of them are finished. So I'm trying to avoid that. Let's see, but I will get the title work, or most of the title work, done this weekend. We're going to a notary and all that good stuff. I still remember before there was a pit road. The money's been paid. It's just the crossing the T's crap. I still remember before there was a pit road speed limit and how it wasn't embraced, says Jamie. Rivieras were cool too. The Riviera body, that's a really good looking body. A lot of people remember the Buick Regal Grand National, but yeah, you're right. The Rivieras, that was a beautiful body. I still remember before there was a pit road speed limit and how it wasn't embraced, says Jamie Schweitzer. That's a fact. BB Duke pulled the win out last night, says Mark Barnum. So hey, there you go. Yeah, old Duke football actually doing something for once, or not for once, but I mean they've been good before, but they've had a little bit better than average season. this year. They also were really bad historically bad for a really long time too. Kevin Harvick and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. both drink Sunny D. Christopher Buescher as well says in between the lanes. Is the Fiat a brand new car? No, it's got like 70,000 miles on it. I want to say it's a 2014. I need to go look at. I think it's a 2014. I need to go look at the title. It's either 2012 or 2014. I remember it's an even year. I think it's 2014. Wish the Earnhardts would have bought into RPM. Earnhardt and Petty would be awesome. Yeah, I thought there was a chance that something like that can happen, especially when they were with when RPM was stationed at RCR, but it never happened. So it just a bummer. It never happened. I like the Dale Jr. download with Jamie McMurray. It was interesting that Roger Penske paid for him to go to Roush early. Says OJ in 2 pages. Yeah, Roger Penske does a lot of cool stuff that never really gets talked about behind the scenes. But the Capitan he's making things happen all the time. I know exactly what you mean, says one wise guy. Buying into Cup makes no sense. Charter price is high. No guarantee. Car will not change. More new garage costs a lot. And guarantees on returns until the TV deal is signed, says Shaw. Yeah, it's one of those three things is holding up the whole deal. Now, what it actually is, I don't know, but we'll have to see if that can get ironed out, because to me that's really going to be the biggest story of the offseason is the fact that that's not done yet. We know Fox and NBC are coming back from all the rumors, at least. Those are the big rumors. So it seems to be hammered out, but there seems to be something holding it up, and it's got to be the money for the teams from NASCAR. So I feel like it's that to me. I think that's the holdup. An hour from now will be the most stale race of the weekend, thanks to Fox's laziness, says Chrome Diesel. HMS sucks, says like Truck Championship will be the lowest viewed race of the year. I don't know. RCR really sucks, says Thomas Haywood. I mean, you can say that, but they've got 3 wins this season with Kyle Busch, so they might not be Hendrick or Penske or Joe Gibbs Racing, but they're not that bad. Like 3 wins, I don't know. I feel like 3 wins is a pretty good season. But I mean, you're more than welcome to your opinion. But I'm on the other side of that one. I think they're pretty decent. I miss racing back to the yellow. I wish they would at least make the rule to have the racetrack race back to the line, says Dirty Death. At least for the last lap. But it's a safety. Like they're always going to trump you with the safety thing, right? They're always going to say, oh, it's for safety. So it's hard to argue against that because they are right. But it is more exciting when they race back to the line. McMurray really should be the lead commentator on some of the race broadcasts. He's unhateable, says Bodar. He is good at what he does. Do you think there will be some good racing tonight or another follow the leader type of race? The Truck Series and the Xfinity Series usually put on a really good race at Phoenix. So once again, it's the package with the Cup car. So I think if you had the proper package on the Cup car, you'd have something. I thought it was hilarious how Brian France has essentially received a lifetime ban from NASCAR, says James. Yeah, at one point he was trying to weasel his way back in, but they're not having it. I like all 4 drivers in the Final 4. I really like Larson and Blaney, but won't be too disappointed if one of the others wins. I'm right there with you, Sonny V. I think everybody that's left is deserving. I mean, if you're a Denny Hamlin fan, you got to be punching the air because you got to feel like Denny Hamlin's deserving too. He's had a great season. But, yeah, I think all the people left are pretty deserving, too, in the system we're in. So it is what it is. The charter system lets sponsors know they will be in races, says Duke Chronic. Yeah, for sure. Donald Duck, Orange Juice, or Tropicana. I like Donald Duck. Like, I was always a big Donald Duck fan. I like how he was always an angry character. So it was always funny to me, just his voice and everything. So Donald Duck all day. It's the reason I'm an Oregon Ducks fan. They used to have Donald Duck. For those who don't know, they used to have Donald Duck on the Oregon helmets. That's the reason I like Oregon. And Duke sucked, and I had to pick another team, so I picked Oregon and Tennessee. So there's that. Oh yeah, so there's if you're interested in the Discord, one wise guy has dropped the Discord in the link there. So if you want to check that out, Live Fast sucks subjectively. HMS and RCR suck subjectively at best, says Charlotte Ander. Not opposed to charters, but as it stands, and I buy a 40 million charter, I need to know I can make some money back at least. Says Shaw. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're going to be in every race, so it's easy to sell sponsorship because for sure you're going to be in that race. it's a good business approach. I just miss the opportunity for teams to build a car in their backyard and have a chance to make the race. And even though they might not win the race, that's still a story, and it's still a great story to be told. I just miss that aspect of it. But it is what it is. You got to move with the times. If this is better overall financially for the teams and the financial health of the sport from the team perspective, not from NASCAR's perspective, because I could really care less about that. As long as it makes sense for the teams and it strengthens the teams, and we'll have these teams going forward, I'm okay with it. But I do miss that aspect of the backyard build. One wise guy, my user is Midnight Flyer for the Discord. Chrome Diesel, if NASCAR really wants more entertainment, have a bump day similar to IndyCar, says Chrome Diesel. I would love it. I would love it. That's the other thing. Before charters, qualifying used to mean something. Qualifying doesn't mean anything now for most races. What's up, Cassandra? Says Mar Barnum. Yes, sorry, I meant on the last lap. Says Dirty Def. And there is the so One Wise Guy has also dropped the merch link. So if you want to support the channel with the merch, I sent out a sticker today. I was at the shop today when they were sending stuff out. So I sent out some stickers. Whoever ordered it, I can't remember your name off the top of my head, but I threw some extra stickers in there for you. So yeah, I sent that one out myself. Hey, Cassandra, says One Wise Guy. I'll look for you, Mark. That's the link to join, says One Wise Guy. Denny needs to have it's our year t-shirt, says Charlotte. I'm pretty sure he's going to make an it's our year t-shirt. He's never one to miss out on an opportunity. Grab a bottle of Coca-Cola. You're watching NASCAR on NBC. In between the lanes. Appreciate you there. To fix the safety thing, you can have all the drivers press a button that's connected to the tower, signaling they are okay, says Cody. I mean, once you get into that, you've got a situation where, like, as soon as you throw the yellow flag, all the cars could immediately kill power. There's go-kart tracks that have that technology, and they've had it since the 80s. Donald Duck with the Chipmunks were really good shows back in the day. The Pancake episode and the Snowball one were hilarious, says OJ and Toothpaste. Yep, I do remember the crossover. There were a lot of crossovers. There was a YouTuber who can do Donald Duck's voice, but have funny moments where Donald Duck gets abused and then starts cussing, says Chrome Diesel. Dale Jr. Could still run open and race qualify in. That would be cool, says Shot. Yeah, so you don't have to have a charter. Like, most of the time, there is an open spot. So there's guaranteed like at least 3 open spots at every track. I always liked when they raced back to the line and the leader would let one guy back on the lead lap. Yeah, so there used to be no lucky dog rule too, right? So there was single file restarts and the lap down cars lined up on the inside. No more independents in NASCAR, says Delmore. Oh, no typo. I mean, it's our year, says Charlotte. I knew what you meant. I got you. Denny Hack Hamlin always crashes, Kyle, says Cody Ledger. I think a lot of people, not just Kyle Larson fans, I think a lot of people feel like that about Denny. Like, they just don't want to see him around their driver. Same thing. Some people feel like that about Ross. Pick a driver. If anyone could run independent, I think JRM could do it for sure. It's his decades. one wise guy with the fierce, the savagery there. It's his decade, referring to Denny Hamlin. The crazy thing is, man, he is a really good driver. Like, it's just one of those crazy things. Like Mark Martin, he was a really good driver, just never ended up winning a championship. Junior Johnson, all kinds of guys. Carl Edwards, so it's just one of those crazy things. How crazy is it that Sheldon's car was messed up and wouldn't turn? Good on Petrie for owning that he jumped to conclusions, says Dirty Def. Yeah, so I didn't have a problem with anybody speaking their mind at the moment, but when you get more information and you realize you're wrong, especially in a situation like this, it took a lot. It took a lot of good character for Andy Petrie to be like, you know what, I was dead wrong and I said the wrong thing and I shouldn't have said it. Not only did he say it to Sheldon Creed, but he came out and said it in front of the media. So not a lot of people would do that. So shout out for doing the right thing. Even though regardless, he's still going to get hated on by some people. So, but he did he did everything you could do when you mess up. So shout out to him for that. NASCAR should have a NASCAR Fan of the Week contest. That would be pretty cool. How many gimmicks from the All-Star race do they use now? But it's not a gimmick, says like dislike. Yeah. Less purse money for non-charter teams, says Dirty Def. Like, the gimmick for the All-Star race now would be to just run a normal race. Like, that would be the gimmick, because we haven't seen one in a long time. Less purse money for non-charter teams. Yeah. So that's something you got to factor in too. That pancake episode is still some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen. Says Charlotte. So talking about the Donald Duck and the Chipmunks. Denny Hamlin is the greatest FedEx driver of all time. Says in between the lanes. I mean, yeah, for sure. So let's make a list of all the FedEx drivers. So there was J.J. Yaley. Did and obviously Denny Hamlin, but didn't doggone used to drive the 01 car. Jason Leffler didn't Jason Leffler drive the? Did he drive the 11 a little bit? And then somebody else filled in. I think a few races for the 11. There have been a few, but not very many. I'm not sure about Jason Leffler. I'm thinking, but maybe not. No respect for Denny after his altercation with KP back in the day. Says Delmar Kaufman. Do you want NASCAR to get rid of the lucky dog rule? Says OJ and Toothpaste. I don't know. I would have to think about that because they would, if they go back to the way it was. Yes, I want them to get rid of the lucky dog rule, but then you get rid of the double file restarts and you have to go to triple file restarts. So I don't know. You would have to think about a lot of different stuff. People would melt down over the single file restarts, I think. Richard Childress really should apologize. Well, he's probably not going to apologize in public. He might apologize behind the scenes, but he's not. He might not even care, to be honest with you. I'll pull for Denny when he leaves Gibbs, like Kyle to RCR says. One wise guy. I'll pull for Denny to hit the wall or speed multiple times in a race, says Mark Barnum. Jason Leffler says in between the lanes. Wasn't Leffler in the 11? I think he was. I'm having a hard time to remembering whether or not he drove the FedEx car or not. I know he drove the Singular Wireless 01, but I can't remember if he was in the 11 for a little bit. In between, he was either before or after J.J. Yaley, and then, of course, Denny Hamlin took over. I think they had some other people in that 11 car for a little bit, too. So I don't know. Bobby and Terry says like this. I remember Terry Labonte is the one I was trying to think of because I can clearly see Terry Labonte in a FedEx suit. So he was like some one-offs there as well. The less purse money kind of baffles me. So I get first place and get less money, says Shy. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. They should have some stuff that's set. No matter who finishes in the top three, whether you're a charter car or not, you still get the same money in the top three. I'm not surprised Petrie apologized. Always seemed like in that case, if you had Bobby Labonte and Terry Labonte drive the FedEx car, I would have to say Terry Labonte is the best FedEx driver of all time. Even though he might not have the best stats in the FedEx car, overall he was definitely the better driver. Because he's got 2 championships. I'm surprised Petrie apologized. Always seemed like a good dude. He was a good commentator as well. Says, but yeah, Andy Petrie, he's very knowledgeable about what he does. He's done just about everything in the sport. I don't know if you guys remember, but he used to drive trucks back in the day too, and he wasn't a bad race car driver either. Jason Leffler says, I like dislike. Who gets the difference in money if theoretical non-charter team wins a race? I think it just goes probably to the next charter team. So it just sort of like you would skip over the money and then give it to the next charter team would be my guess. I don't know. That's something I'd have to look into. Mark Martin drove the FedEx car when he got hurt. So Denny is the second greatest. LOL, says Cody. So I would still have to put Terry Labonte and Bobby Labonte in front of Mark Martin just because of the championship, and then Mark Martin, and then Denny Hamlin. So there you go. Joey joined by all the living former drivers of the number 22 Cup cars in a video a year ago. Says Jamie Schweitzer. I feel if you make the race, you should make the same money as everyone else. Yeah. I mean, it's a fair statement. I don't know why NASCAR does what they do. I'm not sure I want to know. I'm not sure I want to think like they think. So it is what it is. Petty had a good race team, won races, but couldn't keep sponsor. Oh, Petrie, I got you. Had a good race team, won races, just couldn't keep sponsors. Richard Petty, best STP driver of all time, says Delmar Kaufman. Yeah, that's a pretty easy one. Does anyone still use STP? I was using STP motor oil in my Chevy Cobalt before the deer smoked it. That's the second smoking of this year. The Honda got smoked by a deer too, but the Cobalt was totaled. So the Cobalt no longer uses STP. I use whatever is recommended in the other cars though. I went to ZMAX, says Shaw. ZMAX is pretty cool. I need to go watch a race there. I've been to the track. I just need to go actually watch a race there. Peachtree got into racing. Petrie got into racing with Dale Jarrett. It was his car, but Dale had the money to run it, so he just worked on it. Says Dirty Death. Oh, there you go. I didn't know his whole backstory. Put Denny in a FedEx semi pulling doubles. He wouldn't make it 50 miles, says Mark Barnum. The only thing NASCAR is good at is making it worse, says Chrome Diesel. Kyle Busch is the greatest Candyman of all time. Yeah, without a doubt, he's the greatest Mars Milky Way driver, no question there. I mean, and shout out to Dick Trickle because he got to the sport late. I feel like Dick Trickle would have had a great career if he had been in a great car. Even with some of those lower teams, look at some of Dick Trickle's finishes and stuff before he got like later on in his years. He elevated some teams that shouldn't have been there. So I would put Dick Trickle as the second best Candyman. Let's see. It would make more sense for the charter teams. They got discounts on the crappy donkey spec parts, and everyone else raced for the same purse. I don't know why they have to make it so contrived because they don't want small teams in there. I mean, that's really at the end of the day, that's why the charters were conceived. And when they were conceiving the charters, they didn't think about they literally just unionized all of the owners, and that's why NASCAR is retroactively because they're stupid. Retroactively now trying to take away the charters because like, oh God, we gave way too much power to the teams. They're not the brightest crayons in the box. The people that are running NASCAR right now, I have no problem saying that, and I realize I'll never get a hot pass because I just said that. But I don't care. It is what it is. Do those deer whistles work for cars? I don't know. I've never put one on there. I don't see where they worked because I've seen a lot of destroyed cars that have the deer whistles on them. Glock has great picks on Discord. BB, get everyone to sign up. So yeah, we've got a man. We've got a man on the scene. So if you want to see some pictures from Phoenix, join the Discord. The link is somewhere. Don't use Lucas oil stabilizer. It makes the oil thicker, says Chrome Diesel, unless you're racing. Let's see. I use STP fuel treatment. Still loyal to the king, says Delmar Kaufman. I think Andy owned the 33 car after Leo Jackson. He did. LOL, STP is an oil. Thought it was just an oil treatment. They've got all kinds of petroleum products. They got oil filters, all kinds of stuff. I moved to ZMAX oil treater for old vehicles, says Shah. Best shell or Pennzoil driver, obviously I'd say Joey Logano, says Jamie Schweitzer. I mean, flip a coin there because you got Kevin Harvick, so that's a tough one. That's an actual tough one. So I don't know. I've always thought Joey Logano and Kevin Harvick are very similar. They're super consistent drivers. Joey Logano has one more title, so that I guess that would be your deciding factor there. But I mean, Kevin Harvick, he drove for RCR most of his career. He wasn't with like a Hendrick or anybody like that. So you can factor that in for wins and titles and stuff like that if you want to. Daniel Hemrick and Justin Haley drink Kreikel. Says in between the lanes. Texas Terry has the longest time between championships of anyone. Back when the championship was a legitimate thing, says Bo Darville. Yeah, he does. He does have that record for sure. Happy weekend, BB. Happy weekend to you as well. Gina, Dick Trickle and part-time on and off since 1969, I believe, purple number 99, then the 75, and had a purple Montego numbers in the 75, says Barron, for sure. And he won Rookie of the Year when he drove the number 84 for Bobby Allison, I want to say. So that was when Bobby Allison got hurt. So he actually won Rookie of the Year in the 84, split a little bit of time, but you only had to run like 16 or something races. So, and then he gave the epic Rookie of the Year speech at the Waldorf Astoria. Michael Waltrip got nothing for his 3 teams, says Duke Chronic. Yeah, so that's one thing that helps too. When you sell out, you actually get some money for your charters. A big blank Bush guard up front gets the deer, not the vehicle. So get the brush guard up there, says Shy. That works the best. There is the link for the Discord right there from one wise guy. How about Lucas Oil Stabilizer? How would Lucas Oil Stabilizer work for racing? You could take a thinner motor oil and thicken it up with Lucas Oil Stabilizer. There's what's the guy's name? Keith somebody, and then there's I think Brad Penn motor oil is a popular one. Redline motor oil. So probably Penn. It's like Brad Penn, I think is the guy's name that makes it. But there's like Brad Penn and Redline motor oil are the two main ones. The two main ones that I see. in late models, but I don't know. I know Joe Gibbs Racing makes their own motor oil for the Cup side of things. So just depends on how much money you want to spend and what you're running. What do you think Grant Enfinger does next season? You want your oil thicker when you race because you're putting more stress on it. So I'm not talking about for like a regular street car. So, follow what your mechanic says for a regular street car. What do you think Grant Enfinger does next season? Says Dirty Def. I don't know, but he's got something signed up. So it's really going to be interesting to see where he goes. A lot of people are thinking he's going to go to Spire in the trucks. Harvick versus Logano. Pole goes, says Charlotte Anders. All right, I'll close this one out real quick. I have a feeling who's going to win this, but I'm going to throw it up there anyway. All right, let's see here. Go Enfinger because I was friends with him when I had Facebook years ago, says TJ. So there you go. Joey's been on Better Teams, says Duke Chronic. Yeah, so it's you can whoever you want to pick, you can justify it one way or the other. That's the fun of being a fan. Shot depends on how fast you were going when you hit the deer as to whether or not they work. Rick Mears, best Pennzoil driver. Oh, I mean, without a doubt. Now, Rick Mears, he's a legend. But we're just going to go with Cup drivers here. Let's see. Christian Eckes and Chase Elliott work at Napa Auto Care Centers. Not to mention Michael Waltrip and several other people as well. Martin Truex Jr. KFB had the fastest lap in practice. It would be hilarious if he wins on Sunday, says Camaro 50. That would, man, like golly. Like, he would be super mad because of all the DNFs. I don't know. Poor Deers, says Jen Allison. If he might be the only person that wins the final race, and you would get an angry interview afterwards. Is the truck race on Fox or FS1? FS1, says Camaro 50. Dislike FS1. KB and Dinger got into each other, says Jen Allison. Purple something, Royal Purple, I think. So, yeah, a lot of people used to, I don't know. I don't want to defame Royal Purple, but somebody that builds engines that's really good at it, he says he doesn't use Royal Purple anymore because they changed the formula. So take that for what it's worth. But he knows more about engines than I do. So that's why he doesn't use Royal Purple anymore. He uses, it's called Brad Penn is what I want to say is one of the oils that he uses. And also he will use Redline. So those seem to be his favorites right now. Justin Haley watches his fire suit with Tide, says in between the lanes. So does Darrell Waltrip, Kevin Harvick, Ricky Craven, Ricky Rudd. Two Rickies there. I never even thought about that. And somebody else. Let's see here. Who has taken over? Bobby Hamilton. Let's see. Who has taken over the 38 truck, says dislike. Oh, and Eric Jones. Eric Jones ran it this year. And the previous year, 38 truck. That's going to be a good question. That's going to be something we need to investigate and figure out. That's a really good question. I don't know who Ford's got in the pipeline for that one. Go Rowdy, says Jenna Allison. I had to say Harvick just because I strongly dislike Logano. So I think that's going to play a factor into this poll as well. To be fair, I don't think Logano is equal to Harvick. Harvick has 60 wins. Logano's 32. He can still catch him. But he has a ways to go. Michael Waltrip is the best Pennzoil driver, says TJ Moorshed. So there you go. I forgot Michael Waltrip. He's got 0 wins, but it was with Bahari Racing, who also has 0 wins. So it could be equipment. I should hold up a sign on College Game Day with some of my sayings, says in between the lanes. That would be pretty cool. Truck pre-race is on, says Delmar Kaufman. So there you go. I will stay on here for a few more minutes, but I'll let you guys get to the truck pre-race. I didn't even realize it was 9:30. Let's see here. Logano is probably better. Did I just type that? I shall smack my hands, says Shah. I love Angry Rowdy, says Jenna. Everybody does. That's the dangerous Rowdy. AJ Allmendinger and Ty Dillon use gain. Those are nothing but facts there. And so does Lake Speed and Jeff Burton. Thinking too much? Are we talking just while driving Pennzoil car, or people who have driven the car? people that have driven the Pennzoil car. So don't forget like Ryan Blaney and all them. But I just put the two guys that already had a championship. So I just skipped over the people that don't yet, because there's a chance that Ryan Blaney gets it done this weekend. I don't watch the pre-race because of Eraser Head Bodine. My fingers hurt now, says Shaw. I accidentally voted for Logano when I picked up my phone. It says like dislike. Lake Speed at Darlington was epic. Wise guy, I left the pic of the S10 on Discord. Hey, so there you go. Some of the stuff we talk about in the chat that you aren't able to see just yet. I do have a switcher, and eventually I'm going to figure out how to make it work with this. I've got a Mac Mini. That's what I stream off of and do all my videos and stuff. The M1 chip has a hard time. The M2 is fine, and the M3 I'm sure is fine as well. But the original M1 chip that Apple had, I know you care. It just has a hard time seeing stuff from the switcher, so it's a mess. But once I figure it out, we'll get going good on that. And I might just get a Windows laptop just to stream with. So I don't know. Let's see here. Kurt should be on the poll. Oh golly, thank you, Charlotte. I knew I was trying to think of who drove it back in the day. Kurt Busch. I should have put Kurt Busch on there as well. So you're right. So the poll is invalid because we have left off a significant race car driver. So this poll is invalid. All right. So that's the end of this one. It's probably going to be pretty late when this ends, but if I'm still kicking and going, then we will definitely do a post race. But I don't know. So look for the post race. If you're not there, I'm not going to be mad because I don't know. It's just going to be sort of time sensitive. I don't know when this race is going to end. You know what? I don't want to be wishy-washy. I'm not going to do a post race on this one because they started it too late, and I want to work on the video for tomorrow. So, but I will be on tomorrow before the Xfinity Series race. So I will see you then tomorrow, and then of course before and after the Cup race on Sunday, I will see you as well. All right. Until then, peace.